Okay, so welcome everyone to this session on reflexology and mudras. Really nice to see lots of familiar faces and nice to see some new people here as well. So this is an introductory session, so it's okay if you haven't attended any of the previous ones. We've been doing these sessions for about 3 months now. Since the lockdown started, we've been taking full benefit of online platforms, and we've been doing a lot of reflexology, mudras, and different holistic wellness sessions that can help us calm our mind, boost our immunity, different topics. So today I thought we could just introduce what it is, because many people keep writing to me saying that we're not sure how it works, what exactly is reflexology, what's the difference between reflexology and acupressure, can I do it if I'm over 50 years old, can I do it if I'm pregnant? So there are a lot of questions like that. So I thought I'd just do an introductory webinar to what exactly these modalities are and how they can help us. Okay, so I can see some more have joined. To those of you who have just joined right now, you're automatically on mute, but feel free to type in any questions on the chat, or you can also unmute yourself if you would like to share something in between. Okay, so we're going to begin. So what are we going to do today? So we're going to talk first about acupressure and a branch of acupressure called reflexology. That's mainly what I teach. To those of you who don't know me at all and you're here on reference, my name is Sriya Rao and I'm based in Torino, Italy, which is just the north, just on the border of France. So it's about 9 in the evening now and the sun still hasn't set. So it's a lovely time to tune in, because for the first time we're doing it so late in the evening so that people from other time zones can join us. So what do I usually do? I practice acupressure, reflexology, a lot of touch-based healing modalities like craniosacral therapy, marma, some Ayurvedic techniques. The idea was, even though my primary orientation is with psychology, I wanted to broaden my approach to wellness, broaden my approach to health. So I was trying to explore more energy-based healing that would help us uplift from within, because it's very difficult to convince the mind from the level of the mind, right? So if you're stuck with the mind, if you have some issue with your if you have some limitations from your mind, from the psychological level, it's very difficult to convince yourself through your psyche. So you need other tools to deal with daily stresses or blocks or mental fatigue or anything like that. So that's how I began exploring these alternative therapies. And reflexology and mudras are one of the most common things that I use with people, especially now online when I can't be in direct vicinity with people and use touch-based therapies. I've been teaching people how to do acupressure and reflexology for themselves, because it's so simple and it has very, very few negative side effects. In fact, it has no negative side effects at all. So anyone can try it with zero prior training. You don't need to have a medical background, nothing. And you can just practice on yourselves and also on family members and friends. So that's why I thought it's nice to share this during this time. So we're going to talk about how it works, how these modalities work inside the body, how they manifest health and wellness within us. And we'll be doing some reflexology points. So there are many, many points all around the body, on the palms of our hands, on our feet. Out of that, I just selected a few which you can start practicing. Something which you can introduce into your routine and just begin with. Then we'll be talking briefly about what are mudras, and we'll learn 2 mudras today, and we'll do it together at the end of the session. Okay, so I would like to start today's session by all of you just taking a moment. You can close your eyes if you like, and just take a moment to observe your body and acknowledge what is your favorite thing about your body. So you can just take a minute to close your eyes, bring your awareness to your entire body, from the top of your head to the soles of your feet, and try to identify a space of real strength, comfort, safety, a place in your body that you think, wow, how does it even work? And you can slowly open your eyes. Okay, So I know that was a very short time, but I just hope that something popped up in your mind that you thought, wow, I mean, how does my body do this? So for me right now, it was adaptation. Immediately it came to me, my God, I'm talking to people who are all the way on the other side of the world. I myself have me constantly moving. Every 2 years, I'm in a different country and I've been adapting. So my body has been okay with it. I'm able to take new food, new cultures, new temperatures, climates. So that's a real wonder for me that my body is able to adapt like that. So I would like you to just share one or two things that you observed. You can type it in the chat or you can unmute. Some wow factor of your body. Over to you guys. Anyone can share, huh? Anything. It can be anything that you've observed. Sneha, would you like to share? Felt more grounded. My heart, a feeling of warmth. Super. Okay. So I'm reading out these messages from the chat. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So one beautiful thing about the body is immediately you can connect to the ground, to the earth. The earth element immediately settles the whole body, right? So that is the instant connection with earth. That's also something that I often feel that's so lovely about the body, that it connects us directly to nature, to earth. The feeling of warmth in the heart, yes. So the heart space is a real powerful space of healing, of strength. So it's something where we always return to when we feel strong emotion, right? That's why immediately our hand goes here. Even whether, during interactions, during intense emotions, anytime the hand goes here to calm ourselves. Because just being in contact with the heart space itself is very calming and settling. Yes. So thank you for these two sharings. I hope everyone at least got something, observed something about your body. Okay. So the idea is that when we start this journey of holistic wellness, we take a moment to acknowledge what is already there, like already some signs of vitality and strength which are already within the body. Okay. Yeah. So I would like to also begin with a curiosity. How and why does our body work? Have we ever thought this? As kids, we often think this, right? What is this? Why is the sky blue? Why is an orange called orange? Why is this color? So we ask so many questions. But later, as adults, slowly this curiosity fades. So I thought we could just take some time to, revisit this curiosity. Have we ever thought there are so many different organs in the body? How do they function? And how do they function with each other? How do they coordinate with each other? Why does the heart work 24/7? You take a break, right? When you sleep, you go to bed, you take a break, you go to sleep, but your heart keeps pumping. Why is that so? So it's interesting to think about these things, why things work the way they do. We have bones, veins, intestines, nerves, lymphatic glands, so many physiological things within the body, and they all stay together. How come they stay together within one building? I don't know where, you may be living in a villa or in a building on a flat, but even so, you manage to live with so many people, right? Even within the house, you live with your wife, with your kids. So many different personalities live together. Even our organs have so many different functions. They're so in texture, in biology, in their functioning physiology, they're so different from each other, yet they are working together and staying together. How come they do this? So it's quite an interesting thing to think about, right? How does each breath reach the whole body? So oxygen is not only for our lungs, right? Oxygen is going also to your little toe. How is it going there? How is the oxygen being carried all the way there? So just think about these things, these wonders within the body. So this is one of my favorite slokas in Sanskrit. It says, Yata Pinde Tatha Brahmand. So what it means is the microcosm is a reflection of the macrocosm. So every small thing that we see represents the entire universe. And that is the foundational principle of acupressure. So the original organizing principle of nature. So, nature is organized in a particular way, right? It's not just chaos. You have in the tree, there's always the trunk, and then there are leaves on top, there are roots underneath. So it's organized in a particular way. There's a structural organization. Like that, the earth is organized in a particular way. There's earth, there is mud, there is ocean, there is an ocean bed, there is the sky on top. So everything seems to be following a pattern of organization. What is behind this? What is behind this organizational principle that organizes not just nature but also the structure of our body? Always there is a orientation of head, feet, heart, lungs. So everything is structured in a way. And the same principle, the same organizing factor which organizes the earth, organizes also the body, organizes also the larger universe. See, every day we have day and night. Whether we like it or not, the sun rises, sun sets. Same way, whether we like it or not, the heart keeps pumping, the lungs keep functioning. Same way, the planets keep turning. So there is something that is constantly keeping everything running. And that is a common factor that connects us to the universe. So the same way, a single cell, do you know the structure of a cell? We all learned in biology. I'm sure most of you remember. At least we remember nucleus, right? Nucleus and membrane around the nucleus. That is a cell structure. If you look at the planets, like this image here, it's so beautiful. It's a real image, by the way, taken from a space center. If you look at the way planets are structured, the way the solar system works, even they are oriented to a center. That's what the solar system is, right? All the planets are going around the sun. So they are also oriented to some center. It is held together in a particular pattern. So the same ways of organizing the universe are the same ways in our micro cell, the same patterns of organization. So it's so beautiful to think that it's all looked after. I mean, if the universe can run every day and it has its own pattern of functioning, then so can the body, right? Even the body has a very innate principle connecting it to nature, and it is automatically flowing. It's just happening. So a cell reflects the whole universe. So what does our palm reflect? The palm of the hand. The microcosm reflects the entire macrocosm. So they say a human being contains, within a human being is the magic of the entire universe, because we represent that life form. So what moves this organizing principle? Everything needs some motive, right? Even to move. So what is the main thing that is running, whether the single cell or the macro planets? What is it that is running it? So here we introduce the concept of prana. So it's all about prana. What is prana and why is it so important? Many of us, I think most of us here are Indians. It looks like, yes. So we have some words which are common to us. Even if we don't speak our mother tongue anymore, we don't speak Hindi anymore, some common words are we hear quite often, because even in the West it is popularized so much with yoga practice, with holistic healing and alternative healing methods. So prana is a very common word. Or you might have heard also chi. You have Tai Chi, Qigong, these different Eastern Oriental martial arts, right? So all of this talks about a force of nature, a force of life, which is like running underneath everything. So we see the superficial, we see how everything manifests on the outside, but underneath it is a energy system which is supplying the motivation behind all that you see, and that is prana. So in English, usually prana is very blandly translated to energy, but really it's much more than that. It is a life force energy. So it is always oriented to health. It is always oriented to a complete blossoming of vitality. So it wants to, always express itself fully. That's why they say the prana of a plant is in the fruit, is in the flower. That is the complete expression of vitality of that plant. Otherwise, it is not fully blossoming. It's just incomplete. So same way, even the human body, it has an optimum level of expression, and that complete expression is when the prana is free, when the prana is high. So the idea is health is optimal. Health is best expressed when the vitality is high, when the pranic energy is high. So how do we do that? There is prana all around us. I just love this painting because it shows how the prana is all around us, and with every breath we are nourishing the body with that prana. So not just through the breath, but there are other channels through which this energy which surrounds us, this vital life force energy which nourishes every cell in our body, there are different pathways through which they are accessed by the body. And there are sciences of how we can enhance this access. So the idea is the more we can access this energy, the more our organs are balanced, the more our organs can do what they are meant to do. And so there is less toxin and there is high energy. So we are able to, some people when you meet, you just feel like they're so lively. They may be the same age as you, they may be eating the same things, they may be having the same number of people in the house as you, but something about them is different because the way they are accessing that life force energy is different. There might be some practice in their everyday life where they are enhancing these pathways, enhancing their modes of accessing energy. So that's how I would like to introduce acupressure to you as a technique through which we can improve this access of prana, improve this the supply of this vital life force energy within our body. Okay. So acupressure is the simple art of healing that brings balance and harmony to organ systems. I'm just reading out from the slide here via the pranic network. So the pranic network, as I just mentioned about what is prana, there is an entire network within the body. Just how, see, you're in a city. All the main important things in the city are connected by highways, right? You have airport to your house, or you have the movie theater to the supermarket, or you have hospitals, schools. So you have roads, important roads which connect you and your home to all these important sites, all these locations. Same way in the body, you have your heart, lungs, kidneys, all these different organs, and they have a connection to the pranic supply. So the entry or exit points are these vitality points. They're known as vitality points or prana points. In India, we call them marma points as well. So these are important points where the body opens up. So there is a spot where the body opens up and allows this energy to flow in. And from there, these channels carry the pranic energy to particular organs. And these organs, how you feel when you wake up in the morning and you don't get your morning cup of coffee. I don't know, maybe you drink tea or coffee or you have some ritual, right, in the morning. Now imagine a morning without that cup of coffee. You feel so dull, you feel so cranky, or maybe every morning you meditate or you do pranayama, some yoga practice, something you do to feel ready for the day. If you don't get that supply, if you don't get a good night's rest, you feel cranky, sleepy, irritable for everything, and you can't do what you otherwise are good at doing. Same way the organs are like that. So if the liver doesn't get enough rest, if it doesn't get its shot of prana, its shot of energy, it feels dull. It doesn't do its filtration properly. It doesn't do its detoxification properly because it doesn't have what it needs. So it's very cranky and very restless and very irritable. So the same way how we feel, even our organs feel like that. So the idea is when we balance the pranic supply to every organ via this channel, via these networks, then we are enhancing the way that organ functions. So how do we do that? We use the systematic application of pressure on particular points. So it's not just a random pressing. See, usually when we feel shoulder pain, headache, we just press that area, right? We contact that area and we press it. That is immediately calming because contact from our own hands on our own skin on particular sensitive areas, that itself is very calming. But to use it therapeutically, to use our touch therapeutically, we have to systematically apply pressure on specific points. And that is what the science of acupressure is all about. We restore the optimum energy flow in a particular channel for an affected organ. So we don't have to do all the organs all the time. The organs which are affected, the organs which are imbalanced and not having their everyday supply of energy, we enhance those networks, those pranic channels. And we do it by applying pressure on particular vitality points. So these points are representative of different organs in the body, and they also reflect the condition of the organs. So it's a dual purpose, like it has two values. One is the diagnostic value. So when you press it, you get a feedback If it's hurting, if it's painful, if it's tight, it gives you a feedback as to how that respective organ is. The second value is therapeutic, which is what we're going to learn about today, where you don't have to worry about the diagnosis. You just apply pressure on the point, and that automatically helps to relieve tension or imbalance in that particular organ. So tenderness of these points usually indicate an imbalance or dysfunction. But this comes, tuning into reading the feedback from the points comes with practice. As you practice for a few weeks, months, years, then you get tuned into understanding which organ is trying to express what. Initially, we can just use it therapeutically. Now, out of this large branch of acupressure is any pressure point in the body. So you have pressure points, along your shoulders, along your spine, the whole body, face. You see a lot of, when you go for facials and stuff to a spa, they press particular points on your face and immediately you feel your face relax, right? Why does it feel like that? Because you're relieving tension at sensitive points on the face. So those are prana points on the face. So like that, there are prana points on different parts of the body. Reflexology is a branch where different organs are reflected on the palm of your hand or the sole of your foot. So that is what reflexology is. It is the fundamental branch. It's the most simple, most effective branch of acupressure simply because it has zero negative side effects. So if you even press it wrong, so imagine like your stomach point is here, but you press maybe a centimeter above or a bit to the left or right. It won't harm you in any way. You won't get the full effect or benefit of the point, but you don't get harmed in any way. That's why when you learn something new, it's good to know that you can't make mistakes, that you're not going to harm yourself or others. So that's the beauty of reflexology. It just has zero negative side effects. So even if you go a little bit, if you're inaccurate with the location, nothing goes wrong. So you can freely practice, without any fears, you can freely practice on yourself and others. So there are in total 39 points on the palms and 39 points on the foot, out of which today we'll be doing around 6 to 7 points. Okay, so this, as I already mentioned, reflexology points are entry and exit points for the prana or the vital life force energy. And when the channels are blocked, it results in imbalance or disease. So through systematic pressure stimulation, so we're stimulating that channel. So the body knows these pathways are there, but you have traffic jams, right? Sometimes on the roads, especially in Dubai and India, we have so many traffic jams. So traffic jams block the energy. So same way within the body, you have traffic jams of vitality. So we are improving, we're smoothening those roads, smoothening those pathways. And the ultimate aim is re-establishing equilibrium. So we want balance in the body. So the good news is, whether it is like, for example, hyperthyroid or hypothyroid, both are very different conditions, right? It is the thyroid gland itself, but one is when the thyroid gland is functioning too much and the other is when it's functioning too less. The good news is that the treatment is the same. You just have to press point number 8, thyroid, and automatically balances. So whether it is to increase or decrease, the body knows. We're just taking our awareness to that pathway and saying that here, we are supporting this pathway, and the body automatically balances itself. So in a way, it is also very empowering because you're acknowledging the innate intelligence of the body. Otherwise, we always treat the body like it's stupid. You don't know how to heal, so I will show you how to heal. So you introduce so many external interventions to the body. So it's become a habit that the body depends on external stimuli to balance itself, whether it be chemicals, whether it be physical manipulations, anything. That concept that I need to invade the body with an external factor for balance to happen or for to enhance its function. The body gets used to that. So it starts believing that it doesn't know how to correct itself. But in reality, it knows because it developed all on its own. You develop from a single cell to a complex human being, all by internal orientation. So the body has a beautiful natural intelligence already. So when we use these techniques, we are acknowledging that. We are saying that you know how to fix yourself. I'm just supporting you by bringing attention to particular pathways. Okay, so before we start the points for today, this is just a note to introduce how we are going to do the points. So every point that I show today, is to be pressed for 10 to 15 seconds only. That's it. It doesn't need more than that. 10 to 15 seconds of firm, even pressure. That means we find the point, we press and hold for 15 seconds. We don't need to rotate. We don't need to give rhythmic pulsation. Just press and hold. That's it. Simple and straightforward. Best is to use your thumb. All the points that we do today, let's use our thumb so that we get a sense of palpation. If you already have, many people say that they already have some particular tools like acupressure tools. If you do, then great. You may use those tools, but I encourage you to use your thumb so that you get a real feel of where the point is, how it feels, what is the feedback that it's giving you. Then later on, you may use your sticks to, if you are, practicing every day and your thumb gets tired, then you can use the wooden sticks that you get for reflexology. Okay, and the points that we will do today, we're going to practice twice a day, every day, at least for 10 days to feel some difference. So usually the points that we're going to do today are like, that will help to sleep better, to have clarity of mind, just to feel more balanced within. So observe, you practice once a day or twice a day for the next 10 days, and you observe what shifts you feel within your body. But I tell you, some points work so fast. You do it today, and by the end of the night itself, you feel the difference. Yeah. Okay, so before I go into the points, are there any questions? Any questions on the foundation of acupressure, how it works, what are the basics? Once again, feel free to unmute or type in the chat. All clear? Yes. So by the way, for the reflexology part now that we will be doing, it's good if everyone can turn on your cameras so that I can see where you're pressing, and we can give each other feedback. At least I get a sense of the location. So Anu,
Priya.
Madhvi, Rachna, yes.
So, uh, so what we spoke now, would it be only physical, or would it also involve, um, non-physical?
You mean
Obviously, if you're feeling better, you would feel it's a matter of feeling better. But as it got a psychological um, aspect to it,
yes,
I would say,
absolutely.
let's say, if you're feeling, I know most of the stuff, most of the things that you mentioned are related to organs, but is it also invariably connected to your psyche, as you said earlier?
Absolutely. Because see, things like hormones, no? Hormones are directly related to your state of mind. So how, how happy, how low, how energetic, how ready for things, all these attitudes depend a lot on our hormone levels, on the functioning, liver sounds like a very organ, right? It sounds like a very physiological, physical organ. But just by, if the liver gets good rest, if it gets good time to rest and detox the blood, you will not believe how your mood will improve. You will just, you'll be a new person. So just working on the liver. One point, if you speak to any osteopaths or anyone who works with holistic health, they just spend months working on only one organ, liver, and through that they change. They can affect your depression, your mood swings, energy levels, digestion. Everything changes because the level of toxicity in the body depends on these organs. And when toxins reduce, and toxins can be anything, gas is also a toxin. So when we eat food and it causes gas, that's also considered toxin. Like that, there are different toxins which settle. They hide. They hide in the bones. They hide in the blood. They hide in different parts of the body. So just detoxing the organs itself, it drastically changes your mental well-being as well, your mental health as well. Okay, super. So then we will go ahead. Okay, so the points that we're doing today, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 points in the palm of the hand. So we start with cerebrum, point number 1. So don't worry about the serial numbers. They're a little odd. You may wonder why it's 1, 3, and then 8 and 23. Because I maintained the original serial numbers from the 1 to 39 sequence. Because that's usually the general order of reflexology points. So later, if you decide to study in depth all the points, then you know in reference, which points you have already learned today with me. Okay, so we begin with point 1. Let's all choose a receiving hand first. Okay, it can be either right or left, no problem. I'm choosing my left hand. This is my receiving hand. So your other hand is the giving hand, and the receiving hand is going to receive the pressure. So you take the thumb of your receiving hand just below the tip of the thumb, as I'm showing here. Maybe I can enlarge my screen. Yeah. So just below the tip of the thumb, that is the cerebrum. So how do we apply pressure? Wrap your fingers around the thumb and use the other thumb to apply pressure. And you press almost as hard as you can. You firm pressure, firm, steady pressure. Okay, once you find the point, you may close your eyes and just count 15 seconds. Smooth, deep breaths in and out. And relax. So that was point number 1, cerebrum. So cerebrum is, even though it doesn't feel very sensitive on the thumb, it's a very common point for many conditions because it's the largest part of the brain. So anyone who, I wanted to share points which are usually related to anxiety and stress. So the first part that gets congested when we are stressed is the cerebrum. We feel tightness in the head, heaviness in the head. So this usually helps to enhance the brain function, lighten the pressure in the head, and just give a overall boost of energy to the whole brain. So that's why I included cerebrum today. Okay. The next point is pituitary and pineal, which are both very important glands. I won't go too much because of the lack of time. I won't go into the physiology of each thing. Just know that this particular sequence is for overall wellness and stress relief. Okay. So pituitary and pineal are both important glands which release very important hormones for rejuvenation, growth, balance within the body. Pituitary controls all other hormones. So your entire endocrine system is balanced through this pituitary gland. Now, where is the point? Just how our hormones are unique, each person has their own unique mood swings and hormonal makeup. Like that, even this point is unique. It's shown here as number 3 on the picture. It is the center of the spiral. So if you look at your thumbs, you will see that you have a spiral, right? What used to be our ancient signatures. So just the center of your spiral, it can look different for different people. Mine is quite centrally aligned. Yours may be a little bit medial, like it may be a little bit towards the inside or towards the outside. If you can't see it, you may put a torch. You can use your phone torch on your thumb and you'll see the fine lines, the fine spiral. So once again, wrap your fingers around the thumb, apply pressure on the point, close your eyes, steady, firm pressure. You should feel the stimulation. And continue with long, deep breaths. And slowly release and open your eyes. So this was point number 3 and 4. That's pituitary and pineal gland. Let's go to the next. Just give me a second. Let me turn on the light. Okay. So next we go to point number 8, thyroid. So thyroid I've included because even though many of us don't have official thyroid diagnosis, but thyroid is a very stressed out gland because it's involved invasively in so many things. You know, our mental health, our digestive health, the for growing, for teenagers and children, growth. So many things depend on thyroid that it is often, you know, had enough. It's always on the verge of quitting. So it's, you know, always a little bit imbalanced. So whether it shows up on your medical reports or not, thyroid needs our support always. And now we will, in a few seconds, experience it. So where is thyroid? Easy way to find it. The first joint of your thumb, second joint of the thumb, and wrist, right? These are the joints. So it is exactly in between the second joint of the thumb and the wrist. So these 2 points, second joint of the thumb and the wrist joint, in the middle of both of them on the fleshy part. So you have the fleshy part of the base of the thumb. Now, when you put your thumb here, you can rotate a bit. One point should feel specially painful. It will be a little sore. Yeah, I can see from some of your faces that you have found it. Yes. So when you find it, apply pressure, steady pressure, and hold for 15 seconds. And relax. So this was your thyroid point. So to show you, I'm showing like this. When you apply the pressure, you can turn the palm towards yourself and then apply pressure like this. Okay, so that was 8. Now we are jumping to 15. So 15 is a very important anti-anxiety point. It is, so on the wrist, in line with the little finger. So the wrist has 2 sides, right? It has the inner side, which is the thumb side, and the outer side, which is the little finger side. So we're on the outer side, which is the little finger side. So just on the edge of your wrist, below the fold. So you can put a finger here to see where the fold is, and we are below that, just on the side. So we're not on the side surface, we're still on the front surface. So find it, and press and hold. Point number 15, we're doing this one here. And relax. Great. So this point is very powerful even if you have high BP, heart palpitations. It can be used to immediately cool and calm the system. So if you ever feel like your heart is racing and you feel like your chest is pounding, it's a good time to give point number 15. Just a small note, even though it doesn't cause any major harm, but still if you have very, very low BP, like, very low, like you have fainting spells or you often lose consciousness, like a very low BP rate, then you can avoid this point. But for everyone else, it's not a problem. It's just because it immediately, slows down everything. So already if your body has a very slow blood pressure, very low blood pressure, then there's no need to additionally use this point. So that is the one thing to remember for point number 15. Okay, then we go to 23. 23 is liver. Liver is like my favorite point simply because all of us use and abuse our liver. So it's very important to keep the liver healthy. So liver is only on the right hand. Till now, all the points that we did are bilateral, both hands. Yeah. But only this point, point 23, is exclusive to the right hand. So let's go to the right hand and we go just below the little finger. So we have our little finger. We have the little finger joint. If you see, you have a knuckle, right? So the front of the knuckle, below that. So you should not feel that knuckle bone. First you feel the knuckle bone, find it. Then you slide your thumb below the knuckle. It's just below the knuckle. If you feel nothing, like you feel no sensitivity at all, try going closer in. See how inside it is? It's not on the edge. It's almost in this midline between the ring finger and the little finger. That's our 23. So you should feel a slight soreness. Mine just straight up hurts. So you should find the sensitive point there. And once again, 15 seconds. And relax. So that was the liver. Now we come to 28, adrenal. You might have heard, right? Adrenaline rush. So that is your gland which gives you your fight or flight response. It stimulates the body at times of stress, which is good because you need that stimulation when you need to act, right? Problem is with when you have repetitive stress, then the adrenal gland gets sort of confused. So even if you're not on a roller coaster, it releases the hormones as if you are. So the body is in a state of high alert. It's in a state of protection, defense, when there's no need. So it stops recognizing safety and relaxation. So it's very important to bring peace to the body. So you can remember peace. This is the peace sign. So you can remember that that's where your adrenal gland is, just between index and middle finger. So adrenal gland helps to balance the stress hormones in the body. Okay, so how do you find it? You can put it just on this web between the two fingers, the index and middle finger, and then slide it down. Slide your thumb down and you feel a gap. So just in that gap between the two knuckles, these two knuckles, in the front of those knuckles, in the gap. So you use your hand, use the four fingers at the back for support, find it, press and hold. So once again, it can be facing your palm. And relax. So that was your adrenal. Last 2 points. Last point. Okay. Now we have 39. So 39 is the magic point. So some of you here have attended the other webinars. So in every webinar, I always share point number 39 because it's really a magical point that has a pervasive effect, simply because it has many functions. So even though the organ relevant to point 39 is paranasal sinus, which are all the sinuses around the nose and over the eyes, in the head, but we also have sinuses in the brain, venous drainage sinuses. Those sinuses is nothing but like a gap, you can, like a hole, like a cavity. So they are potential spaces for things to settle, for dirt to collect, right? So same way, cavities or sinuses in the face, in the cranium, are potential for things to settle there, like for toxins to settle there. So it's important to flush them out every once in a while. So point number 39 improves the circulation, energy, relaxes completely everything above the clavicle. So clavicle is your collarbone. Anything above the clavicle, so your neck, your jaw, teeth, toothache, the nerves in your face, your facial nerves, when you feel the pull in the face, you feel twitching in the face, anything to do with your eyes, nose, forehead, sinus headache, ears, anything to do with the brain, stress, this part of the brain, even things which originate in the brain. So things like tremors, imbalances, so Parkinson's would come here, any mental irregularities. So you have any mood disorders, depression, anxiety, also it's a very lovely point for autism. So we have a group of parents who've been practicing reflexology for a few months, and they've shared incredible feedback with this point 39, tips of all the fingers. absolute tips, just the tips of all the fingers. So the approach of this point is different. You can use a blunt pencil. So see, I just have a normal pencil here. I've sharpened it and then broken off the tip. So it's a blunt pencil. This gives you accuracy for this point. So each finger, you approach it from the top and you apply 15 seconds of pressure like this. This point, even, you know, just to have some clarity of mind, when you feel very cloudy, you wake up in the morning feeling, you know, you're not sure what you're supposed to do today, you haven't slept well, you don't feel rested, anything like this also, this point 39 is just magic. So the tips of every finger for 15 seconds. So see, I'm pressing just below the nail here. So my nail is here and just behind the nail there. So be very careful, especially when you're using a tool, so that you don't slip into the nail. Let's do one last finger, 15 seconds. And relax. Okay. So that's it for the reflexology points. I'll just do a quick summary. Point 1 is just below the tip of the thumb. That's there. I'll show it with the pencil. So this is point 1, cerebrum. Point 3 and 4, center of the spiral. So we have a nice spiral on the finger. Center of the spiral is point 3 and 4, pituitary and pineal. Point number 8, between the second joint of the thumb and the wrist joint, exactly in the middle, in the fleshy part. So it's a sensitive point, this one, thyroid. Then 15, little finger side, just below the wrist, where the wrist bends. 15, anti-anxiety. 23, only on the right hand. Other points are both right and left. Only on the right hand, just below the little finger joint. So where you have the knuckle of the little finger, just below that is 23, liver. Adrenal brings peace to your body. In between the index and middle finger, you slide down from the web, and in that gap, 28. And finally, tips of all the fingers, 39. Super. Okay. Since we just have 10 minutes, is it okay if I move on and then I take questions in the end? Yeah, is that fine? Okay, great. We just have 2 mudras, so I will share that and we'll practice it together. Yes, before I forget. So one point which is very useful on the foot, because reflexology is not just the hand, it's also the foot, but feet points are a little more complicated. So I didn't want to confuse you by sharing everything on one day. But this is a particular point which is easy to find, and it's very, very effective, especially during this time, because it immediately boosts immunity. It helps for circulation, detoxification, as well as boosting immunity. So the inner side of your foot, this is the inner foot where the big toe is, you have the ankle bone, right? So it's called the malleolus, the inner malleolus or the ankle bone. It sticks out. It sticks out like that. If you feel it, you can feel it on your foot. So if you start, like you take the measure just where that bone is sticking out, you start from there, and the 5th finger, that is your lymphatic point. So I'll just show you how you press it. So we're on the inner foot. This is the ankle. I'm starting just where the ankle bone is. So I'm putting my little finger there. So 4 fingers. 5th finger is that point. So this should also be a slightly painful point. You'll feel a bone here, right? You'll feel the shin bone here. So we're pressing against that bone. This is point number 16 on the foot. Okay. Especially if you have a lot of water retention, swelling in the body, just low circulation. It's a good point. It helps for that. Okay. Moving on to mudras. So mudras, the underlying philosophy is the same as acupressure, which is that they are entry points for the pranic channels and they help to balance the prana within the body. But instead of looking at it as organs, mudras are based in yogic science. So it's closer to the Vedas, it's closer to Ayurveda, so it's closer to the traditional Indian way of seeing the body, seeing the body's connection with nature. So it's based on the 5 elements instead of organs. So each finger represents an element. The thumb is fire, little finger is water, 2 opposites, fire and water. Middle finger is space. So fire, space, and water. Then ring finger is earth, and index finger is air. So each of the fingers are different elements. And through balancing these elements, each element is in every organ. So for example, stomach has a lot of fire because it is burning the food, it is digesting the food. So when you work with the fire element, you're automatically working with digestion. So like that, it's more complex the way that mudras work, but it's very, very powerful and so subtle. It's just a simple position that you hold your hand, but it has such a deep effect on your body. So the following mudras can be practiced whenever needed. We are doing very general mudras today, so you can also use it every day. It's not a problem at all. Some mudras are therapeutic and very powerful for particular conditions, and they're suggested not to be used when you don't have those conditions. But today we are doing quite safe mudras, so you can do it at any time. 5 to 15 minutes every day with deep breaths, long and deep breaths. Okay, so today we'll do these 3 mudras. I'll just quickly show them and then we can do them together once. So the first one is Jnana Mudra or Chin Mudra. This is like everyone who poses for a photo will know this mudra, right? Usually when we do a yoga pose, we always show this mudra. It's supposed to show Zen. So all the statues that we see have this mudra. It's a very common mudra. So what it does is it enhances the brain function. It immediately takes the prana to the brain. So we have better pituitary and pineal function, which was point number 3 in reflexology. So it improves that. In a way, we are touching that. See, when we bring the contact between thumb and index, we're making contact with that point. So it improves memory, concentration, eases tension, balances the endocrine system. So it has many effects usually related to the brain area. And in general, it calms and relaxes the body. The second one is Vayu Mudra. So it's the same 2 fingers, but instead of touching the tips, what we are doing now is bringing the index finger to the root of the thumb. So the index finger is not touching the tip of the thumb, but it's touching the root of the thumb. That makes a difference because this is the air element. So we are reducing the air element in the body. That's what we are doing. We are bowing the air element down to fire. So we are reducing air element in the body and we press the thumb on top of the finger like this. So when we do this, we are reducing air element. So anything related to excess air, joint pains, anxiety, restlessness, when the nerves are like, shuddering, that is when there's too much air element in the body. So it immediately calms the body down and reduces that air element. So aches and pains, especially in the joints, any restlessness and anxiety in the mind, too many thoughts, pain in this area, neck, shoulders, it's really good for that. Okay, so that's Vayu Mudra. Finally, we end with Nasagra Mudra, which is part of a pranayama. So we put our middle finger and index finger in between the eyebrows, like this. The thumb is over the right nostril, ring finger over the left. Yeah. So when we do it, when you do it, you can do it on your face. For now, I'm just showing and explaining it. So when we do this, we breathe 1 nostril at a time. So we close the right, breathe in through the left. Then we close the left, breathe out through the right nostril. Again, breathe in through right, breathe out through left. So whichever nostril you're breathing out of, you breathe in again through that. And then you breathe out the other. Okay, so should we do it? We'll just do for maybe, I know it's a little late, but If it's okay with everyone, we'll do maybe for 10 minutes, 8 minutes. So each mudra, I will just guide it. So we just do 2 to 3 minutes each mudra, and then we do maybe 5 rounds of Nadi Shodhan. So Nasagra mudra, we are doing it in alternate nostril breathing, because we're breathing through opposite nostrils, right? Each one. So it's called the alternate nostril breath. It synchronizes both the hemispheres of the brain and it purifies all the channels. So it's a very nice way to start the mudras or end the mudras, either way. However, if you're doing a meditation after, then you can start with mudras and then do your alternate nostril. So today we will start with alternate nostril and then we will continue with the mudras. I'm not sharing the screen because I'll be showing it. In case you have a doubt, you can look at the screen. If you're clear, then you can just close your eyes and enjoy. Okay, so you can sit comfortably and easily, support your spine, switch off your phones. Just take a moment to settle down. You can close your eyes. Just for 5 minutes. Take a deep breath in. And slowly letting go, relax your shoulders, relax the neck. Relax the forehead and the eyebrows. Let's begin with the alternate nostril breath. So the left hand is in Gyan Mudra, which is the thumb touching the index finger. Relax it on your thigh. Right hand, middle finger and index finger between the eyebrows. The thumb is ready to close the right nostril and the ring finger is ready to close the left nostril. Just gentle pressure. So we begin by breathing in through both nostrils. Close the right, breathe out through left nostril. In through the left nostril. Close the left, out through the right nostril. In through the right nostril. Out through the left. This was one round. You may continue on your own. Long and deep inhalation and exhalation. The same nostril that you exhale from, you inhale from the same and then exhale through the alternate nostril. You can continue 5 rounds on your own. Long and deep breaths in and out. As you breathe out through the left nostril, you can relax your hand. And you can put also the right hand in Jnana Mudra, which is the tip of the thumb touching the index finger. Both right and left hand, tip of the thumbs touching the index fingers. Once again, relax the shoulders, relax the arms, And also soften the fingers. Let the wrist, fingers, hands, let them be soft. Maintaining light contact, but keeping the whole body soft. Long and deep breaths in and out. Keep the mind on the breath. Spending a few minutes being intimate with your own breath. Can slowly slide the tip of the index finger to the root of the thumb and place the tip of the thumb on top of the index finger. Vayu Mudra. And continue long and deep breaths with the palms facing up. Relax the face, the eyebrows, forehead. Relax your jaw and your shoulders. And keep taking long and deep breaths in Vayu Mudra. Relax the hips, the pelvis, the muscles of the legs. Let the whole body relax and soften on every exhalation. You may slowly relax your fingers and keep both the palms open to the ceiling. And take a few moments to just observe and acknowledge the state of your mind, of the body. Take a nice, beautiful breath in and breathe out with a big smile. Most important mudra of today, a big smile. Once again, breathe in and slowly let go. And taking your own time, whenever you feel ready and complete, you may slowly open your eyes. Okay. How are you all feeling? Good? Okay. So today we did it just for 10 minutes, exactly 10 minutes. You may do each mudra for 10 minutes. That will really make a big difference. You can even do it twice a day, every day. You can even combine your reflexology and mudra practice. That's like double dose. So that's also a good way to really feel the effect of both. So we've done such a small part today. So I really hope that you take the opportunity, especially if you're super busy, you take this chance to include this into your daily routine just for a week. Do it for a week so that you see the effect and then you believe it. Then I don't need to tell you. You'll be convinced on your own, and then practice it for yourself. So just quickly before we wind up, I want to first thank you for giving healing a hand today. This is my email ID. You can reach out to me for any questions, any doubts that you have. It's sriyawellness@gmail.com. Really easy to remember. So I'm doing a series of webinars. They are more in-depth webinars that combine reflexology and mudras for particular things. So we have immunity, digestion, and hormones. So if you're interested to go deeper and find out more about how these things work and find out particular points to treat any of these three imbalances, then again, feel free to reach out. These two are already over, the live ones, but the recorded webinars are available unlimited. Anytime you can watch them and learn it at your own pace. If you want to join in live, you can join on 20th July for the hormones webinar. I think again the time is a little strange for you guys, but that's why it's okay to watch it at your own. I send the video as a YouTube link, so you can watch it at your own pace and then get back to me with any questions. For those of you who are super interested to be students again and really go very, very deep, there is a 4-day in-depth reflexology, hand and foot reflexology training. So I've been doing this training for 5 years now. Sneha is here from Dubai, who is a reflexologist for, I think, 3 years now, 2 or 3 years she's practicing. So after you do the 4-day training, you're fully equipped with the whole set of points. So all 39 points on the hands and on the feet, and you can use it to treat yourself and others for any conditions. So it's good to have this. It's like a first aid kit, you know how to deal with so many things, headaches, stomach upsets, and it helps you also to have a much deeper understanding of the body. So we also do a bit of physiology and anatomy, but in a very relatable way, very simple, relatable way. So this is probably going to be the last online training that I do, because now the lockdown in Italy at least is officially over. So we've reopened and classes have started again. So yes, I think this will be the last online training that I'll do. If you ever find yourself in Italy, please do get in touch and we can meet. I often visit Dubai and India. So if you're also there in any of those places, we have follow-ups, live free follow-ups that anyone who have done the webinars or trainings, they can attend and practice live with the group. So welcome to the family, to the healing family, and good luck. If you have any questions, I'm here for another 5 minutes. But otherwise, we are officially done for the day. So you can, in some parts of the world, good night. And for some of you, happy, I think, afternoon. Good afternoon. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Shreya, for such a
Thank you,
wonderful
Sneha.
session.
Thank you for coming again.
Yeah. It is so interesting that I keep coming again and again. So yes, I have learned this reflexology from Shreya, and it is very, very beneficial, and I really love it. I give it to my husband and he sleeps like a baby. So I just thought to share this one line. And we have got everything related to health, everything on our palm, on our foot. Very, very effective. Must do. I mean, I'm really glad I joined. Thank you, Shreya. And thank you for today also. Yes.
Most welcome. I hope at least the mudras part was a little different, because reflexology part
Yes.
you've heard already. You're
Yes,
an
yes.
expert in that part.
But still, every time I repeat, I love it. It's good. Very nice. Yes.
Good. I'm very happy you were here.
Yeah. Similarly, I think you come at the right time. And I'll speak with you separately about myself, but come at a very, very opportune time. Thank you so much.
No problem. You have I'm leaving my email ID and number in the chat. Of course, I'm sure you have it already, but in case anyone doesn't, it's in the chat. You can note it down. My number is 331-530-662. There. Okay. So stay in touch and happy healing. Please do apply these points.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sure. I'm sorry, I can't see your name.
My name is Jyoti. I have not typed in there when I entered the session, so that's the reason it may not be reflecting.
Okay, no
Actually,
problem.
I have an outgrowth on my spine since 2012. So, are there any points which I can, use, and it will really relax my entire spine, and that outgrowth would go away?
Okay, so you can, but see, then again, it's a complex condition, and there are usually not one point for one condition, because it's not just the spine, it's all the muscles that connect the spine, it's the nerves which are connected through the spine. So it's a very holistic treatment. So for anything, we don't give one treatment, like 1 point treatment. It is a multiple point treatment. So you would have to learn the entire set of points to support that. For now, what I can say, especially for spinal conditions, foot reflexology, especially the arc of the foot, you can just roll it on a roller. You get those, I don't have it with me now. You get those balls, right? Like a
roller.
Yes. So the arc of the foot, the inner arc, you can press really hard, like put your full body weight on that and roll very slowly. You roll it up and down. That is very good for the spine. But again, as I said, I would advise, if you want to use reflexology as a therapeutic tool, you would have to study it completely to know which points to apply for your condition. This foot reflexology, the arc of the foot, is generally good for any spinal conditions to relieve tension in the spine.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, no problem. Great. Okay, if there are no more questions, then we can wind up for today. Any more questions that can benefit the group, like any general questions from anyone? No? Okay. Good. Then have a very good night. Thank you for joining in. Bye-bye.
Bye.